What is up, guys? Been a little bit of a break since we had Season 7 Invitational, so if you missed out on that, make sure you guys are checking out the VODs. Those are, of course, on Twitch and YouTube. It is just me tonight. We got a little bit of the fan going, so I apologize if it's a little loud. I'll do my best to quiet it down a bit, but it's because it's getting hot. It's getting summertime. It's going to be a little bit hotter. We're going to have a little bit of background noise with the fan from time to time. So just me tonight, no Brett. Sadly, he's not doing so well. His back is a little bit hurt, so he's taking it easy this week, especially since he's got a 24-hour stream that he's supposed to be doing, well, 12-hour stream at least, coming up this weekend. So we're seeing if he can hopefully be feeling better for that, but if not, he'll be rescheduling. So it's just me, but we have week 1 and week 2, kind of like a half combination of the two that we've thrown together for you guys to be able to watch for tonight. So it's like 7 rounds of Modern coverage, so a lot to get into tonight. Of course, for those that missed it, spoiler alert, we have a new champion. So you can see scrolling across the top there, it does announce each of our season champions, so you guys can be able to take a look. We are jumping into our 8th season of Modern Magic Monday. It's been going strong for about 2 years now. I've been able to have different champions each time for the most part. We do have at least one repeat champion, so there's that exciting aspect to it. But we've got lots of games. Now, I do have to apologize ahead of time, guys, because I was a slacker and misplaced some of the paperwork from the matches. So there are some matches where you'll see one player's name or no player's name, or I don't quite know what deck they're playing. I'm making an educated guess. So just got to bear with me with that sort of information here. So why don't we just jump into it. Round 1, we'll get started with season number 8, guys. Alright, so we see the return of Chris Carosa. So Chris here is one of our players that is a season champion. Basically took the season off. He's been having some great stuff going on with real life. Went and got himself engaged and doing all that sort of fun stuff with real life and working a lot. So he was kind of out for season number 7. So we're jumping into season 8 here. Of course, Robert Cure is one of our mainstays. You'll see him pop up from time to time there. So he is battling it out this week using Amulet Titan. And Chris decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to be bringing back that blue-black control, trying out something a little different, focusing on delve creatures as the big threats. So we're going to see how well things work out with his deck. The Titan deck is a powerful deck. It is not as good as it was when Summer Bloom was around, and that was Robert Cure's favorite deck. So he's, from time to time, he'll pick this list up and play it for a little bit, and every time he seems to play it, he goes, man, I really wish Summer Bloom was still legal, because you could just do some broken stuff. So he is going to be rocking that out. And we'll talk more about the ins and outs of the deck as we get going with the match itself, so you guys can kind of work through what the deck is trying to do. If there's a card we're discussing tonight that you don't know, if you type !card, whatever the card's name is, in chat, and say we're talking about Primeval Titan, right? You just do !card Primeval Titan, and then it will give you a full list of what that card does, converted mana cost, power, toughness, all that kind of good stuff there. So we're going to be hopping in to game number 1 here. It is best of 3, and oh my gosh, you know what I forgot? Our timer. We have a little bit under 50 minutes left for this round, but let's at least pop that up so you guys can be able to hear that, know what's going on. So be able to see that, I guess, instead of hear it. Alright, players drawing up their 7, seeing if they like it, seeing if it's worth keeping or not. Alright, let's see if we can adjust this. There we go. Trying to block the air as much as I can without dying of heat here. So Swamp coming out and Thoughtseize. So Chris is going to be dropping down to 18, finding something good to steal here. So he says, alright, all these lands I can't take. So let's see what else we got. Engineered, You've got Azusa. You've got the Sakura Tribe Elder, I want to say that one is. The one that lets you put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. It's an activated ability there. And then Summoner's Pact. And that looks like what he's eyeballing at this point. Going, well, Summoner's Pact, yeah, it's pretty good. You know, acceleration, though, from some of the creatures can be good. So, but he says, you know what? You don't need a prime time. I can deal with you just getting a bunch of lands, but if you don't have any threats to go along with it, I'll be feeling pretty good. Robert being a nice guy, keeping things going here for us. Sitting at home, he does play with his hand revealed. So we already see one Delve creature hanging out in Christopher's hand. Polluted Delta gets dropped down. He does have a Spreading Seas, so he could try to do something like that. Looks like he also has a Fatal Push. So he says, you know what, let's just push that. You can try to like save it if you want to get rid of the Azusa, and looks like that's what he will do. Opts to go for the Thought Seas instead, dropping himself down to 16. Yeah, not 26, 16. And he says, yeah, let's get rid of the Azusa. I'm fine with you having a bunch of lands and engineer. And he'll drop down to 13 off of that Fetch and Shock. And now he goes for that promo Fatal Push and get rid of the Tribe Elder. So he goes, alright, engineered for 1. And based off of the lands, based off of what has been happening, this makes a lot of sense. It's looking like a Death Shadow based list from the first couple of plays, but I don't believe he is on Death Shadow. I believe it's more just sort of control based, you know, value cards, kind of like stuff like that. So we'll have to see, though. I mean, running that Spreading Seas is kind of giving indication that it is not really the Death Shadow list there. But yeah, you see he's got, looks like a Tome Stalker in his hand, which is that Delve 5/5 flyer. And so he's just sort of filling up stuff, drawing cards, kind of building up his resources to be able to get one of his Delve creatures out. Now, the Spreading Seas against this deck can be annoying for a little bit if you can like mess with people's mana bases, but you also have to think that it's not that hard for Robert to get a bounce land and get rid of that Spreading Seas. Good old Kalitas coming out. Kalitas hitting the battlefield there. And so he says, here's this weird rule interaction I don't remember because this is like 2 weeks ago. I think he's basically trying to figure out, if I have this Asuva enter the battlefield, is it going to be an island or is it going to be the Gruul turf? And you know, that's one of those weird interaction things that I am not a judge to be able to give you all that answer, and Robert is not a judge, and we'll head over to ask a judge the answer to that. Let's see. So Kalitas is hanging out here. 3/4 lifelink. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile that card and create a 2/2 black zombie token. And then you can pay 3, sack another vampire or zombie, and put 2+1 counters on Kalitas, Trader of Ghent. So Robert's going to try to figure out the ruling of it. I'm trying to think, because I cannot remember now whether or not it becomes the other land. Sorry, guys. Been out of the stream game for a little bit and now falling asleep on you. Alright, now Christopher has left the table. He's waiting. He's like, listen, I really need to figure out how this thing works, because I don't know. You don't know. We need to find this out. I don't want to skip ahead or anything on this because I don't know how long it took. There we go. And they're back. So, turns out it worked out the way we want it to, and it becomes Gruul Turf, bouncing that spreading seas to the graveyard, turning his old Gruul Turf back to his hand. But this is the perfect time to start making zombies. I mean, he's got a lot of mana to start making that Tomb Stalker. Pretty sure that's what it's called. Yep, Tomb Stalker. Let's pull it up. Again, if there's a card we're talking about in chat, simply do card, exclamation card, and whatever that card's name is. But he says, hey, I've got this handy dandy snippety snapcaster to get this Fatal Push back, throw this guy in the graveyard. Now I get a 2/2 zombie. Off that Kalitas trigger. Boom, swinging for 3. First blood. We don't count Christopher's own damage that he's been doing to himself there, but he will gain 3 life off that and jump back up to 16. Maybe they're just double checking their math, making sure everything's okay. So things are looking a little tough. For Robert here. Like, it's just that awkward stage where he doesn't really have much to go with. Everything that he's been trying to make happen is just getting hammered and hit off the field or stripped from his hand. Like, it's not really where he wants to be. So here he goes, says 7 damage going to come across. Robert falls to 10. And that's the tough thing about this. It's like right on this stage where Robert is going to just keep falling behind. And there's the Tombstalker. Costs 6 and double black to delve that away, and he's a 5/5 flyer. So that's pretty good threat. And that's kind of showing, hey, I've just got value stuff behind it. So the part of that was Robert reading the situation based on the lands, based on the spells, that it was a Death Shadow based list, right? You're sitting there leading the first couple turns with Thoughtseize and Fetching and Shocking. It's not that far-fetched when one of those lands is a Polluted Delta and a swamp. Like, all of these are found in like a Grixis-based Death Shadow list. And even some of the 4-color, lists can run those too. So now going through sideboard stuff, seeing if they have anything that kind of fits in, makes things work here. Looks like he's eyeballing Collective Brutality here. He probably has enough removal to make it work. I think he just grabbed a Pithing Needle. But it's this awkward spot here. And oh, look at this. Okay, so he says, hey, can I look at your creatures? Like the ones that I've seen, like the Azusa and the Sakura Tribe Elder. So now Robert's kind of going through his lists again and seeing what is the best to take out, keep in. Looks like Christopher's saying, hey, you know what? Inquisition doesn't quite fit there. And, Thoughtseize seems great. Inquisition's alright, but if I want to get rid of your Primetime or something like that, it's going to be a dead card. Alright, getting ready for game number 2, guys. Alright, looks like Robert's not so happy with his. Christopher looks like he's going to be keeping it. That's the turn that he's hoping for. So this is the big difference, and we're going to see it immediately this game compared to last. Being able to open up with a Amulet is huge. Inquisition's going to come down, though, and he's hoping to strip away some of that value stuff. We already see at least one land there in his hand, but I don't know. That's going starting things out by dropping a 17, the only way to start, right? It's Fire Spout in hand. Another Summoner's Pact and Ancient Stirrings. Whew. He says, yeah, let's get rid of your value card here. But you can see lands that would normally enter tapped become untapped off of the Amulet of Vigor there. The ones that, of course, that Robert controls, so not the ones that Christopher controls, because then it just would not be that good of a card. And now we see he's just sort of hoping for some lands, but has not gotten any of the explosive lands yet, right? You see, it's just sort of like, okay, I see what you're doing here. You're setting things up, but you haven't gotten any of your bounce lands. So Lily here, looks like that's what Chris is debating about at this point. It's not a bad idea. Throw that down now, start to get some value upticking, and kind of hope you can keep it around, right? And this is, alright, Fire Spout. We don't need that. You don't have any creatures. And he'll pass on over. Looks like Not really getting the draws that he was hoping for here. Yeah, you see him just sort of pass on over after that. Which is tough. And we see just sort of moving right along. Nothing that crazy happening here. Both players just sort of building up, getting the resources going. Like, at this point, when we think of that advantage meter, it is on Christopher's side. He's doing well stripping away lands, both of them getting basic here. But it's just like, alright, here's 2 forests. He doesn't really have much else to go with it. You see sort of, alright, I'll pay 2. I'll explore, draw a card, play an extra land. Hasn't played one yet. But, yeah. Ancient Stirrings. Oop. Oh, no. Tribe Elder. Passes over, and this is easy for Chris to just say, okay, -2, Lily, please sack a creature. And it's just that strip away game, right? Let's see if I can take away stuff from your hand. He says, okay, Inquisition off the Snapcaster, steal that away, uptick Liliana. Now we both have no cards in hand, and I can pass after that. And now it's top deck mode, but at least I have a threat. Robert's going to explore here, draw, see if he can get into something, turn this to his hand. Says, okay, hey, if I lose that forest, not a big deal. At least I've got a Gruul Turf out now. All right, getting some of those bounce lands going. Let's bring the beats, he says. Creeping Tar Pit coming across. Swinging for 5 damage. I mean, this is the power of a Liliana on a board that has no way of making threats right now. Like, it just kind of really takes over the game and just kind of snowballs out of control. Looks like Thought Scour and a Fatal Push that Christopher is debating on with his Serum Visions there, deciding which ones should stay on the top, which ones should go. I mean, really, you can keep both on top, draw that Thought Scour and ship away the push. It's not like there's many threats out right now. Another Creeping Tar Pit's going to get thrown down, and he'll be pushing for another 5 points of damage here, dropping Robert down to 10. So it looks like just going through and double checking the text on everything, trying to figure out how he wants to lay out the piles for Lily's ultimate here. Saying, okay, clearly I'm going to make it difficult, probably putting these 3 lands together and Amulet sort of by itself. Like, do you value Amulet more? And yeah, he says, I will keep these 2 lands and an Amulet. And says, alright, well, now I'm building up my land base again. It says, let's do this whole activation thing. Here's a Creeping Tar Pit. Here's 5 points of damage, dropping you to 5. Pass turn. Ancient Stirrings. Let's do it, he says. And that's going to do it. Chris Carrozza will take the series 2-0 over Robert Cure. Blue-black control. Really, it's like Game 2, he was able to keep stripping away cards. Game 1 was kind of the same thing. Game 1 was Thought Seizes into threats, right? Kalitas, Tombstalker, those sort of things got out and did work. Game number 2 was all about Liliana, so things worked out pretty nicely for the deck there. So we're going to keep flying along. We have 7 rounds because it's kind of a combination between week 1 and week 2 this week. So just kind of keep your eyes peeled as we kind of work our way through each of the rounds. So hopping over to round number 2.